Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ryuu Kishi, and welcome to a review on Legacy of Pandora, a brand new monster taming roguelike based on Greek mythology. So let's fully dive into the review by pressing New Game. It's a new day, you wake up and feel that things will change. Today might be the day you make a difference. You rise up, despite feeling the weight of what you have lost lingering in the air. A restless desire gnaws at you. Your heat beats as if saying more. Today, you'll achieve greatness. So, when starting a new run, you will be given 3 options to pick from a select few of different cacodemons, which are this game's versions of monsters. So, for instance, I have this monster, which is called Skylios, this one, which is Morotar, and then this one, which is Pycurus, which is, Icarus. For the purposes of the video, I'm going to go with Morotar. So, let's get into how the game fully functions, starting with looking at the monster page. So, on this page, you can see the name of your monster, what type it is. So, for instance, Morotar is a Sorrow type, how much HP and mana it has, its ability, and then its stats. So, its attack, magic defense, speed, wisdom attack, and wisdom defense. And then you can see its moves on the right side of the screen. If you click the arrow key, you can see its moves. And when there's an empty slot, you can learn new moves if you have any available. Mastery, where you spend Flames of Will, which is this resource right here, on upgrading any of your stats up to 6 times, and upgrading them does go up in incremental order. So, if memory serves, it's 10, 15, and 20 from what I've seen. And then, there's Corruption. So, Corruption is basically this game's version of evolving. And if you're at all familiar with Digimon, or the Digimon games, in this game, each cacodemon can evolve into one of 2+ different forms. So, for instance, Morotar, with enough death, which you can see over here, with enough death, can evolve into this. With enough violence, it can evolve into this. And with enough madness, it can evolve into this. So, what do these do? Well, you have different types, and this is how the type system is. So you've got violence, madness, sorrow, death, greed, disease, hope, and pride. If we go back and take a look at the book, we can click on Morotar, note that it's a sorrow type, and go into guide. So all of the stuff is listed up here with defending and attacking and on this side. So if we look at sorrow and go down, the white 2 brackets does neutral damage. The red arrow down means it's not as effective. The green arrow means it's weak to. And then the X means it does way worse damage. So since our Morotar is a sorrow type, sorrow versus sorrow, not very effective damage. Sorrow versus violence, not very effective damage. Madness, it's weak to. So it is weak to madness, and it's also weak to greed. So if you're using a Sorrow cacodemon, you want to be wary of madness and greed. Now, like in other monster taming games, sometimes you'll get something like a Sorrow Violence cacodemon, where Sorrow is weak to madness, but violence isn't, so these two cancel each other out. However, it also means it's 4 times weak to greed, so you want to be careful on that. With that, let's go into the next part, which is fighting the cacodemon. So, I'm gonna do this one first. Of course, okay. So, a standard bout of combat is you want to select one of your 4 moves, or one of your many moves that you have on your bar, and you want to check the cacodemon you're fighting. So I'm fighting a Sorrow type, and I want to use Madness or Greed moves, but I don't have that, so I can just use Hope, Disease, or Death and be fine. So Hot Light Punch it is. And that's essentially the flow of combat right then and there. There's also this Sacrifice ability, but I do not have a secondary cacodemon to sacrifice. However, I could capture this Morotar and sacrifice it later, or keep it and evolve it into something completely different. Just to hopefully get things going, I'm going to try to capture it. Perfect! Because I don't want to fight this thing forever. After combat, you are awarded with Flames of Will and some other goodies as well. Now, in order to evolve a cacodemon, right? So if we go back to this page right here, So in order to corrupt a Cacodemon, you need one of the different aspects of humanity. So with Morotar, I need violence, death, or madness, which I can see right here, and by telling me I have 0 of 15. Well, how do I get these aspects of humanity? Well, that's where these events come into play. So by doing these events, by choosing a specific option, I can basically try and get whichever one I need the most. So with the middle option, violence, death, and greed are lit up. With the top option, everything but greed is lit up. And with the bottom option, sorrow and disease is lit up. I think I'm going to help her hide in the woods for this example. Now, Blind Detect gives me these options: violence, sorrow, death, and hope. Madness, sorrow, and disease, or madness, disease, and pride. Now, one thing I would like them to change: I cannot open my bag, and I also can't check my Cacodemon page, so I'm going to have to memorize my Cacodemons and how they in their branching paths of evolution. So I remember violence and death, so I think it's violence, death, and madness for the Morotar. So I want to try to go for those. So I think for the purpose of this example, I'm going to go lie and detect them somewhere else. So if I believe in her and let her go, I gain sorrow and hope, but if I reprimand her, I get violence, death, and hope instead. However, we have to enter a battle. So there's that, unfortunately. So some of these outcomes do lead to battles, so be wary of that. During the battle screen as well, so let's talk about this a bit, you have resting, which regens a 50%, I believe, of your mana, recharge your stamina. Sacrifice, which I already went over. Your moves on the bottom, which tells you, so say for instance Half-Light Push, it's a hope-based attack. Sorrow is Tearful Tide is a sorrow-based attack, and Horn Thrust is a pride-based attack. Here I can check Morotar to see its weaknesses and whatnot. You got your health, you got your MP, and then this right here, if it's a black diamond, that's basically showing you how many monsters you currently have. If you hover over your creature, you can see its stats right there, and if your stats are lowered, you can also see that as well. So, the twin-headed snake is a violence type, right? So I check violence, it's weak to sorrow, weak to greed, and weak to pride, so I have an advantage against this. So, Horn Thrust, which is my most strongest attack. We both counter each other, essentially. And it's faster, too. The snake can just cause poison. Now, I don't know if this game is like other Monster Tamers, where you can only have one status effect at a time or not, but status effects are very deadly in this game. Unlucky. However, I could just do a new game and start over from scratch. So now my options are the twin-headed snake that you saw, Skylios again, or a unicorn. I'm going with the twin-headed snake. Now with the twin-headed snake, if I go here, it can corrupt into a greed type, madness type, or disease type. So Hydra, Hermes' staff, or Ouroboros, essentially. Let's do this, because this gives me 2 events. The snake here can actually learn Reckless Ram, as opposed to Morotar, who couldn't learn anything. However, in order to unlearn a move, you need Flames of Will. But Flames of Will is also a resource needed for buying stuff, so be careful on that aspect. So if we go to the event, I need Madness, so I'm going to lean into it for this. Try to help. Yeah, try to help. And I gain 4 Madness. I need 15 in total. Make a piece. So alluring. I now gained 7 Madness, so I need 4 more, so I would need to get it from the event over here. So there's no natural leveling up, as I said, or as you can see. I need 10 Flame of Wills in order to upgrade my stats. By 10, I believe it was? So there's that. But again, Flames of Will are a resource needed to buy items at the shop as well. Now, thankfully, I don't think you need Flames of Will for evolving your creatures, so there is that. But you do need Flames of Will to unlock moves and level up your creatures. So, let's go over cons first, because I prefer to start with the negative, so then I can end on a positive note. So, obviously, there's been a few glitches with this game, and the resolution to those glitches is just closing out and opening the game again. And I'll show a screenshot of 2 such glitches occurring when I play this game in my own time. If you noticed and paid attention to my Let's Try video, after a while the music stopped. But ever since then, when I reopened the game again, the music's been perfectly fine, so I don't know what happened at that point. So, there's that. And as you saw with one of my screenshots, in this game you can obtain fragments, which is basically just a neat little lore knowledge bit about the monsters or characters you meet in this game. And the fragment would stay on the screen and not disappear after a few seconds, which did annoy me because I couldn't actively close out of my guide, but I can just press the escape key. The load time when going into the game and starting the run, starting the run back up, is another negative. It's not that long, but it is noticeable because, I open the game, and then I click on the window for the game, and it'll say not responding, but I just have to give it a bit of time. I don't know what the cause of that is, but that is something to take into effect. I brought this up already, but you cannot look at monsters' corruption paths when doing events. You can't look at your inventory, you can't look at your corruption paths, nothing. So you have to memorize what corruption paths all of your monsters go down, or just jot down notes of what every monster can go down. And to add to this, you need 3+ events just to corrupt one monster because of the low amount of stuff you're given / the high amount needed for corruption. All forms need 15, but you're barely given like a third of that per event, depending on what you pick. Now, I understand it's RNG based, but as you saw in the beginning, I'm not a fan of picking a Cacodemon at the start to only have to fight said Cacodemon as my first encounter. You already saw that with the Morotar. I'm not a fan of that. I'd rather have 2 different Cacodemons on my team. Now, sometimes the game will glitch and not give me a fight at the start, and you cannot look at a type chart when fighting the aspect of human nature, which is the end boss. This current version of the game has violence as the end boss. I cannot look at the type chart, so I have to memorize, okay, what is violence weak to again? So that's it for the cons I have of this game. And I should have prefaced this at the start, but I do genuinely like this game a lot. Pros. I really like the art style. The art style is fucking awesome. It's got fantastic character design and monster design. And one thing I'm very much appreciative of is this. The devs did their homework on Greek myth to be as accurate as humanly possible, which I love. Pyrrha isn't just some random character they pulled out of thin air. Pyrrha is an actual character in Greek myth who is the actual daughter to Pandora. I love that. And she does have red hair, so that's also accurate, and I appreciate that. It made me do my own research to look up who Pyrrha is, and I love it when a game makes me do that. At least for stuff I'm interested in. The game's music is very good, and there's also fun nods to Greek myth with some of the monster designs / names, which I can show by checking the glossary for the horse. So the unicorn, it can evolve into a hippocampus, Chloros, I think it's how you pronounced, obviously, Pegasus, or the Trojan horse. Whereas the Morotor can obviously evolve into the Minotaur, or more notably, the Iron Tor. The only thing why I recognize this thing is because of an episode of 100 Different Ways to Die, where I remember specifically a scene of a dude telling his lord to get inside the fat bull, but instead he was put inside of it, and they let it under fire. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, wasn't a fan of that, to be honest. But, yeah, I understand the reference. And then, as I said before, you got Hermes' staff, you got the Hydra, and you got Ouroboros. You also get the Phoenix, so that's cool. And my favorite monster design in this entire game is Ifrit, for very obvious reasons. I love my fire demon, what can I say? Now, one thing to note as well, as a positive, I'm very much appreciative that this game doesn't make my PC sound like a jet engine. I've tried so many demos before, in the past, where they're not high-intensive games, yet my PC just runs like a PC, or runs like a jet engine. Very much appreciative that this game is not that. So, oh, and one more pro I have that I completely forgot to mention because it slipped my mind. I'm very much appreciative of how the devs handled the type effectiveness stuff and whatnot, because not going the usual Pokemon route is kind of difficult. Like, you have your grass, fire, and water, right? But completely abandoning that and doing something wholly unique, hats off to you guys. Whoever decided to, or whoever came up with that, or the team that came up with that, incredible job. I could not dream of doing that myself, because good God, would that be hard and difficult to do. So that's another problem. Very much appreciative of, because I realize how hard and difficult that could be, and especially with the whole balancing thing. So yeah. So hats off to you guys for that. With all of that said and done, what am I looking forward to with this game? Obviously, some quality of life improvements. Mostly looking at the Kaku Demon storing events to see what forms it can branch into. I don't know if the devs are going to do this, but I would like to see them needing, or see some monsters needing less human nature, / give more human nature so the Kaku Demons can evolve quicker, at the very least within 2 events. Because some branching paths only give you 1 event, and a lot of battles will have you fighting against Kaku Demons that are in their 2nd stage. Now, obviously, I'm looking forward to more Kaku Demons based on Greek myth. In order of how much I'm looking forward to them, / in order of the ones I want the most, I'm looking for specifically a Harpy, or a Harpy line, Cyclops, and Gorgon. Those are the only 3 that come to mind currently, because those are the other 3 monsters that I vaguely, or I can easily recall and remember. Now, just now saying that, I forgot. Sirens. There's also them. So I would do Harpy, Siren, Cyclops, Gorgon, I think. And then, obviously, this is a me thing, but I like it when there's obviously mythology inspiration. I like it when they take lesser-known things from that mythology and use that as inspiration. Because it shows a level of dedication and care. Because, obviously, everyone knows a Harpy. Everyone knows the Cyclops. But not everyone will know this random little thing from mythology, which will then lead us to do research on this little thing, which is cool, and I very much appreciate that. So Kaku Demons based on lesser-known creatures of Greek myth would be neat, because I very much appreciate that. And I think that will about do it for my review portion of the game. So, in between then and now, I have played up to the boss at least like 3 separate times, but that was during a very lucky run, or unlucky, depending on how you look at it, where I got 3 events, and it all led to madness, which is how I was led into using Ouroboros. Now, Ouroboros is a Violence and Madness type with the ability, once hit by a Violence type attack, not only is the damage minimized, but it increases all future Violence attacks that the user uses against the foe. Not only that, but it has a move where it can poison my opponent, and it can learn a move where it can heal itself, and its status effects. So it can basically use this thing as a wall, can constantly heal itself, constantly regen its stamina, and not have to worry about anything, because my opponent is taking chip damage. Now, obviously, I would have to worry about what it's weak to. So, neutral damage, neutral damage, neutral damage, neutral damage, pride. So, there's that. But, I think with all that said and done, I am going to end this video here. One more thing to note, you do have a fast mode. The fastest is 2.5 speed, and the lowest is 1.0, obviously. I like 2.0 because I feel like it's a good balance between everything. And just as a forewarning, if you do have the game set into fast mode, all of the cutscenes will play in fast mode as well. So before going into a cutscene, you want to go down to 1.0, so you can actually read what's happening on screen. Otherwise, it's just going to disappear and flash before your eyes. So, I think I'm going to end this video. What do you think of Legacy of Pandora? Are you looking forward to this game? What do you like about the game? What do you dislike about the game? What creature from Greek mythology are you most looking forward to seeing? What Kaku Demon that is currently in the game has your favorite design? And to add to this, what Kaku Demon has your favorite lineage? So basically, do you like the Chimera's line, where it can become a proper Chimera, this goat with wings, Ifrit, or this thing? Do you prefer the peacock, where it can evolve into this, or the phoenix, and so on and so forth? I think, I think my favorite line is the Minotaur, only because these two are easily recognizable. I don't fully recognize the Minotaur though. So, yeah. But with that all said and done, I've been Ryuu Kishi, and I'll see you next time. Also, one last thing to note. The developers are having a contest, and I'll be sure to include a link to that in the description below, as well as the Steam page for this game, so you can wishlist and ask for permission to play the game yourself. So, there you are.